Kia ora, g'day, welcome back once again, here with another reaction to Mr. DJ Shipley, former DEVGRU operator. And yeah, we've got plenty more to go, still about 2.5 hours worth. So let's jump back in. To hear him speak about the guys that he's with, and I'm presuming that's the green team that he's talking about now. So prior to this, he had spoken about the injury that he had on his first halo jump, I think it was. And yeah, he went through that whole rehab piece, and the box jump, the depth jump was one of the last parts, and they deployed a physical therapist with him to help him get back in shape and rehab it properly and all that sort of stuff. But now he's gone through the steps to get into green team, which I think is DEVGRU. Sorry if I got that wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. And now he's seen how they move. Just hearing him speak about a couple of things is like watching Wayne Gretzky take the ice. So the Hall of Famer, probably arguably the greatest ice hockey player of all time. I think, I don't know, I'm not an ice hockey fan, but I know his name. And to hear him speak about these operators and also not getting debriefed after a job, that's pretty crazy. But anyway, let's jump back into here, and because I could see I cut Sean off, he's about to ask. That's awesome. That will be, that'd be awesome to be a part of, eh? And to a degree, I suppose, I don't know DJ at all, but from what I see of him and from what I've seen of him throughout this interview so far, which is a little over 2 hours now, and other clips and stuff that I see of him when he's doing some breakdowns of stuff in terms of the equipment that they use at GBRS when they're shooting, when he's responding to questions from his or their Patreon, he just seems even keel all the way through, like how he is right here, right now. Not nonchalant. He's just, I guess that's just part of what's been embedded into him from being surrounded by and witnessing and observing that. And it's probably clearly just rubbed off on him. Pretty cool. Holy crap. That would have been a wake-up call, eh? Like a look of not disdain, but what are you on about? What are you up to? And what did he say? When you've been in the end zone, act like you've been there before. That's a hearty comment, eh? That's somebody who's been in amongst it, who's been there, done that. And I bet that hit DJ like a ton of bricks. They're just going, oh, crap. Okay, yep. We just move on. Like, that's just part of the job for them. That's just what they signed up for. That's awesome. That is awesome. That is, sorry to cut him off, but that is unreal. That is an unreal statement. Or not unreal, it's an awesome statement to hear. You've got to prove it again in 5 hours' time. It's like that comment, hey, you're only as good as your last game, or you're only as good as your last job. All the other stuff counts for nothing. Hence why that process of getting up and turning up and showing up every day. If you don't get up and show up the next day, or that afternoon of that same day, it doesn't really matter. You've broken that cycle, that process, and it's not as strong as you thought it was, if that makes sense. But hearing this guy and the person that spoke to them, just dismissing the great work that clearly was done, some awesome stuff that was done, and DJ hasn't spoken about it, but I could imagine that is very, very awesome. The humility of that individual for starters, but also that whole team. It just sounds like that's how they were wired. Even killed pre-op, during the op, post-op, like Sean Reiner asked, and DJ responded to. And then DJ's given a couple of examples without going into all the details, probably because he can't, but without going into all the details of what that mission was involved and or what the person did specifically. Man, I would love to know though. So everything that I see on the GBRS, everything looks geared towards and around excellence, from their helmet setups, from what they carry, from how they position themselves when they're shooting, and being as upright or staying as upright as they can, not leaning back, not leaning forward. This is just some of the stuff that I've watched on his, and I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense, because it's brought back a lot of memories about when we were learning to shoot, and we would have a bit of a lean forward, which exposes, I never thought of this, exposing the top, but it just shows, man, there's heaps more. I could go off on a tangent here, but there's heaps more stuff, and it just makes sense to me now why DJ and his crew just seem to be, it's not pedantic, it's just very, very precise and professional, and wanting to deliver and communicate as much relevant and hopefully helpful and good information, and it is helpful and good information, to as many people as possible that may find themselves in those environments. And what better person, or one of, to have a person like DJ and his team to share that with you than those that have been right in amongst it, breaching those thresholds through the doorways, getting blasted, being out and amongst it in other situations and other operations, and teaching you that stuff. So it's pretty awesome to see and to hear. And when I'm listening to him explain about these guys in Green Team or DEVGRU, I hope that's right. Sorry if I've got that wrong. It's all just starting to make sense to me now. Like, it's gone out here, why does he say that? Why does he say that? Now all those pieces, and why he is the way he is, very calm, very chilled. Like, I've said it in the comments and stuff. I think I've said it in a couple of the reactions as well. He's a definite stud with regards to how he communicates and what it is that he's sharing, and obviously his experience of what he's been through. And you've got that process and the Gold Star families and what they do, and how everybody, I'm sure, just clicks in. Like I said, that's everybody, and they know their role and they're doing their part. But how heavy and sad that must be, man, to have to go through that process. That's tough. Far out. In the middle of the movie, pager, phone going off, text messages, and just responding, and then packing up sticks and heading straight into work. Devastating, man. Devastating. And it's interesting that he talks about, they refer to it in terms of, where were you? Where were you? What were you doing? Yeah, you have a lot of those sort of key milestone, significant moments, where you remember, and no doubt specifically for DJ, knew exactly where he was for all of those events. And that's heavy, man. That's sad. All right, let's let this play. Wow, that just makes it even worse, like even sadder, even heavier for the families that are left behind, the loved ones. It's man, just to hear that, just to know that their process, paycheck stops immediately. There's nothing coming in to put food on the table, to pay the bills, or to put gas in the tank. Man. Hopefully that stuff has changed. I don't know. But it's great that there are people like DJ. There's great that there's all these foundations. I mean, pilots, the operators, everybody, part of that. Air support, if they had air support, I assume they did or would have. You, in the back of your mind, I think it's always there. You always think, okay, this is something that could happen. But I think DJ's touched on it and articulated it so well. Like, you just don't expect it. You don't expect that the guys, like he's talking about, some of the most highly trained, skilled professionals, fighting force, getting ready to come in there and do the business. You just don't expect that the big helo bus, school bus type in the air is going to get shot out of the sky. And even though that's sort of in the back of your mind, I think that's just probably one of those thoughts, because they have such a superior fighting force. Like, they rule the skies, and they're ruling not necessarily all of the land, but when it comes to getting on the ground and fighting on the ground, they're extremely capable, competent, skilled. experts. So man, it's just, it's tough. It's hard to put into words, but yeah, you just don't expect it. And that comment, I think I've shared this in other videos, expect the unexpected. If you expect the unexpected, it's not unexpected anymore, is it? So I think it's more along the lines of I don't think it's arrogance either. It's just a case of, this is, when he's talking about the reality check, I think for most people, they're thinking it's going to take place on the ground. Now the whole landscape of things are changing, and I don't want to go off on a tangent with drones and all the other type of stuff that's out there and technology-wise, but the landscape has definitely changed a lot. These tragic events definitely will shape the SOPs and their practices of what they do going forward. 100% they've taken the lessons from those things and they're continuing to evolve, but they are tragic and hard lessons to have learnt. Sorry to jump in again, but that's a great point. I met an awesome individual over in the Australian, in 4RA at the time in Recon Platoon. Awesome dude. He is a badged member of the Australian Special Air Service before then. Then he was out, and then he went reserves, so the TF, and then Timor happened, and then he come over with us, and we were fortunate. I was fortunate to be in his team for a little bit before we then got split up into other teams, and he's still in the regiment now. He ended up coming back when I went through selection with some other guys from 4RAR, from Recce Platoon as well. He come in. I don't know if he did any of the cycle again. I think he just come straight back in. If he did, I don't think he did any of the cycle and stuff again. I think he may have just done a course or something. Actually, he might not have even done that. I think he's awesome soldier, awesome operator, great reputation, just a good person. Real tall and lanky, like quite lean as well. He must have been 6'5", maybe 6'5", 6'6". Got a real Aussie twang when he speaks, and but an awesome dude. I won't give his real name, but he goes by Beetle, and he's just an awesome dude. But anyway, I think, and I don't know, I never wanted to delve into this topic with him, but I'm pretty sure he left, and it's based on what I've heard. So maybe second, third hand by now. And I think he may have mentioned it once, and I might have been in the area and picked up on a little bit of it. But the Black Hawk accident that happened, I think he had a number of friends. So why I'm sharing that is DJ bringing up this point about what people don't think about or may not think about. The guy he mentioned, he had shoulder surgery. The guy who was at the birth of his child and was supposed to be there, and how it would haunt them for the rest of their lives. They were meant to be there, and on that trip, that's my take. They weren't meant to be there, but hey, that's not going to ease their thoughts or their hearts or where they're at. Hopefully over time they'll be able to do that. But in his case, in this guy in Australia's case, something happened with regards to, I think, one of his mates that was on there that tragically passed away. And something happened whereby they ended up switching or swapping, and I don't know whose call it was, whether it was Beatles or whether it was his mates. And again, I might have the story completely wrong, but it was along the lines of something like that happened, long story short, and his mate passed away, and that's the chopper, or one of the choppers that he would have been on. And so I think not long after that, from what I've heard from other people, is when he got out. I never wanted to approach that topic with him. That's heavy, that's personal, and I didn't want to bowl in there and go, hey mate, can you tell me about this? But from what I'd heard, so that just triggered the memory there about this awesome bloke guy named Beetle over in the unit over in Perth. Pretty sure he's still there, still serving. And DJ's comments about things that people may not necessarily think about with regards to the situation that he's describing, this tragic event that he's describing. All right. That's awesome. That's worth mentioning it, or pausing it there, and I think I'll probably wrap this one up here because that's just coming up to 30 minutes on there. But how good is that, eh? One of his commanders or leaders doing that, helping out his mate while he's on deployment. And you heard plenty of stories where guys would do the same when their mates were deployed, and they knew that their partners with the children and that were at home. And in the housing area, it's a little bit, and I guess that's one of the reasons why you have the married patch or the housing area for the operators or for the people serving within that unit at that time. And it's a place whereby you can have that sense of community where you've got the neighbours are the spouses and partners of operators and soldiers, and you can build relationships and all that sort of stuff, and have friendships and stuff there, and just have that support as and when you need it, and should things happen. And heard plenty of times where guys would go around and just look after them, and their partners would go around and look after stuff or do things around the house to help each other out. And that's awesome. Whether it's just something as simple as mowing the lawns, whether it's something as simple as doing some painting, whether it was sorting out some stuff with regards to a vehicle that might have needed some basic repairs or whatever, helping out just in general, getting your kids to play with their kids while their partner is away, having your partner spend time, go out on a lunch date or whatever with your mate's partner, and they get to spend some time together, just in some small way. They may seem like little things, but they mean a lot, and they can help a lot. And so, yeah, it's cool that hearing DJ talk about his mate doing the tiling and then just showing up to work with all the tile soot and stuff on him, then just getting dressed, getting on the plane, heading off to work. It's the bonds that you make there, man, within that SF community, at least in my experience, are just second to none. Anyway, that's this one, because that is just over 31 minutes now, nearly 32 minutes actually, and really enjoying this. Nearly at the halfway point of DJ's one, but chipping away through. I think I'm around about the 2-hour mark on Kyle Morgan's one as well. So like I said in an earlier video, I've got to chip away at these and complete them. But I love listening to both of these guys in and around what they're talking about. They're very, very different. In terms of DJ, I believe has been out for a while. Kyle Morgan he's very fresh out of the Defence Force and out of Delta Force. So it is a very significant contrast between the two when they're being interviewed and the way that they answer their questions. But it is nonetheless awesome. So I'm here for it. Appreciate you all. Appreciate any time that you've spent here. Just the support. Thank yous very much. I can't say it enough, and I'm going to keep saying it because I mean it, and it really does mean a lot. To anybody going through any difficulties, hard times, challenges, heartache, man, again, encourage you to keep turning up. Keep staying in the fight, stay as consistent and as disciplined as you can. Know that you're not alone. Know that the sun will shine again, that better days are ahead, and that there is a light at the end of that long, dark, lonely and miserable tunnel. So stay at it. As always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation and gratitude for you all.